Welcome to season 2 of Church After Hours. We are back. Hopefully you guys missed us. We had a quick 3-month hiatus. Got a lot of stuff done in that time. And tonight we got a lot of information we want to get in, kind of give you guys a layout of what season 2 is going to look like. But before we do that, let's just talk about the break, man. What did you get done over the break, brother?
It was amazing, brother Insight. We stopped in the really middle of summer at its height. Since then, I've had the opportunity to indulge in another podcast, Who Made Y'all Priests?
Our brothers.
The brothers over there.
Yep.
Oshayum and
Fofare.
It was good to dip my toe. And I say dip my toe because I know nothing as far as what their knowledge expands to, but it was just great to, be able to edit, which I was able to listen to their podcast 2 and 3 times and really get some good information and get a perspective, a different perspective than we have. Also, the New York State of Mind tour.
Yes.
Labor Day weekend in Chi-Town.
Yes, sir.
Oh my God, it was Wu-Tang, Buster, and the GOAT, and man, it was an amazing time, D. And I think we also just got some good feedback of the podcast, right?
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that weekend because that was a good time for us to hang out and kick it as brothers outside of the podcast or not our children and our wives. It was just us to have a reset weekend with the brothers, my brother and Kurt and some of my cousins in Chicago. Will, we had a really good weekend, and we also celebrated some birthdays. My cousin Val turned 55.
Who's aging backwards, bruh.
Right. So it was a fun weekend and a fun time for us to get together and chill and hang out and kick it like how we kick it when you hear some of these old school stories. But another thing that I really appreciated about the break, it gave us the time to reflect on season 1, things that we liked, things that we didn't like, and things that we wanted to incorporate in the second season to make it even better. So what we're going to do tonight is start off with a little bit of a recap of season 1 and talk about some of our favorite episodes on the podcast. And so I'm going to throw it to you first, baby. What was one of your favorite moments or episodes of this previous season?
Mine would have to be your sister's episode. Candace is hilarious to me.
Hilarious.
I love to hear, the transparency she gave, which is few far in between in a lot of, things, entities in life today. Right. So that was warming to my soul because she gave us a part of the feminine aspect that, is empathetic and, is very transparent and humble. So that was great for me, man. And she also provoked a new, I don't know if it's provoked the word we want to use.
No, I want to say she inspired a new segment.
Okay, she inspired a new segment that we're going to use, which is, either saying a Bible scripture or a
African proverb or Native American proverb. It's basically what we call our segment where we talk about something that inspires us, whether it's scripture, whether it's proverbs, whether it's something your grandmother, your aunt may have said your whole life, little mantras and things of that nature.
So thanks, Candace.
Thank you, for sure. Yeah, that was one of my favorite episodes too. She was hilarious and people loved that episode because basically she had a chance to share a lot of her truth that a lot of times we may have even overlooked, as myself and my brother as older brothers. So that was a dope one.
What about you? What was your favorite episode?
My favorite episode, it had to be the grand finale, the one with Pastor Pipers.
Oh yeah.
And being so
Pastor P, we named it.
Yep. He was he's stupid. He was mentioned in pretty much every episode of that season leading up to the finale, and it was great for people to have an opportunity to see us sit down with a person that we love and revere, a person who's been a mentor to us, a person that we respect, so much, and who you know, shared with us a lot as youth, and even as now as men and husbands and fathers. It was great for people to see us sit down with him. And I remember Miss Vicky, your mom, said she really loved that interview and how she watched it multiple times, and she felt like she was watching an episode of 60 Minutes or something.
Right.
And
that
to
be
me,
gassing sometimes.
our parents gas us, but I believe her though. I believe her because when I look at that interview, it was shot very well. Shout out to you know, Reverend Pivus's crew there, brother Zoe, who did a great job with that visual, and I just love the whole aesthetic and the whole energy and the whole feel. Like, I wish we could have taped the behind the scenes, like our conversation off camera. Like, the whole day was just a beautiful day, and when you guys saw the interview, it was just a culmination of a great experience and a great time that we had. So that was definitely my favorite episode.
Most definitely. Sure.
So let's dig right into it, man.
Yeah, let's go.
We have a new segment that we are presenting with season 2, and it is called Church Parking Lot Gossip. And basically, this is going to be an opportunity for us to now talk about some pop culture things or some things that are in current events, and you guys will get to hear us and pick our brains about it and hear how we feel about some of these issues. So let's dig right in, brother. You ready?
Sure, let's go.
Our first topic is Beyonce versus the bishop or the black church.
Whoa.
We all know Beyonce had a dope album that came out this past summer. Some people liked it, some people really didn't like it.
What was the song called? Church Girl?
Church Girl. Church Girl. Now, this song is a sample of a classic Clark Sister record. Shout out to the Clark Sisters and everybody in Detroit. And people thought that she was mixing the secular with the religious messaging, which Beyonce didn't create that. Ray Charles was doing that. This has always been something that's been present in black music. You know what I mean? Yeah. I feel like the church borrows from gospel and they borrow from each other. So what was your thoughts when you seen the church really going at Beyonce because of this Church Girl record?
Well, when I first saw the church going at Beyonce, I hadn't heard the song yet. But once I heard the song, man, I thought it was warranted because she was saying twerk girl, twerk church girl. I thought that was a little much, man. You know, anytime I think of, you know, the black church, I always think of my grandmother.
Right.
Because that's who took me to church without a choice.
That's right.
And those times were, you know, it was worship.
Yeah.
It wasn't what Beyonce was doing, you know, as I just thought it was too much, brother. Maybe I'm a little conservative on that. And I've spoken to our manager, and she thought differently, you know.
Yeah.
And the thing that she said that stuck out to me the most was church girl, like the first lady, was a made up thing. It's not a real thing.
That's true.
And I did understand that.
That's true. And I'll chime in, and I agree wholeheartedly with you from the standpoint of, when you think about the messaging in the song, I just feel like it's a little bit too over the top, because I just feel like R&B in general, and this is not a slight at Beyonce, I just feel like R&B in general has become too much like hip hop, to where it has to be overly vulgar. It's too much cursing.
Wow.
It's too much stuff that's said that shouldn't be that shouldn't be said. You know, when you think about R&B music, you're thinking about the Isley Brothers, you're thinking about Earth, Wind & Fire, you're thinking about these
Marvin Gaye
and these artists, Luther Vandross, that are speaking about love and about relationships, and it's not so over the top vulgar. You know, I think about Boyz II Men, I'll make love to you, and it wasn't, you know, it was different from Jodeci, I want to freak you, but it was still not over that line, and I felt like our sister really did step over the line this time with that record.
Yeah, I think about Marvin Gaye and Sexual Healing. Yeah, it said I'm capsizing the way I'm rising and rising, but it's still, you have to do. I didn't understand that until I got, grown.
Of course,
I didn't understand that until I got grown. So yeah, I think these R&B records are way too sexually explicit, especially if you got a lady.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't have no lady, then, you know, do your thing. But if you are with a woman or a lady, you know, you're going to need something a little more romantic, brother.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Let's get to our second topic,
what you got next?
We got Creflo Dollar letting his congregation and the world know, his church down in Atlanta, I think it's called World Changers.
I love this one.
He said, I had it wrong, y'all. Tithing is not biblical, and from this day forward, my parishioners don't have to pay tithes anymore.
Wow.
What did you think when you heard Creflo make this proclamation from his pulpit? I'll give my thoughts, but I want to hear yours first.
You know, I thought it was incredible that he was courageous to do this, because
Absolutely.
you know you're going to get backlash from a lot of your fellow preachers and pastors. So I thought that I gave him a thumbs up for that. Where my question came in is, you did it after you have a private jet.
Right.
You did it after you
got
have
the mansions and everything.
You know, and so, but I think it is a time for truth, right?
Yeah.
We're in the age of Aquarius.
That's right.
The age of Aquarius, brother, and it's time to start telling these truths, because, you know, the recognition that what I feel as we go on with the rest of these, the recognition is gonna be, you know, these churches saying their numbers dwindle.
Yeah.
So the truth has to start coming out.
Absolutely. I agree with you wholeheartedly, especially from the standpoint of it's never too late to speak truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I always felt like Creflo was kind of like the poster child for prosperity, the what they call the prosperity gospel. But let's be clear. A lot of his spiritual fathers or mentors in the ministry, the Ken Copelands, the Jesse Duplantises, these guys was preaching the prosperity gospel as well. They just wasn't as known, especially in black culture, as Creflo was. But these were some of his mentors, and he got a lot of this stuff from Ken Copeland in particular, who's a different type of dude altogether.
Copeland.
But
is that the dude that they had on the video?
Yes.
He's something else.
He's something else for real. So I feel like, you know, Creflo got the attention, but that's where he got that stuff from. And I applaud him for now saying, you know what, I'm pulling back from it. I was wrong. You know, and like Kurt said, you know, a couple $100 million, I mean, I won't say 100, but a couple million and a couple cribs, a couple mansions. Right. We don't know, because they don't got to, you know, got to show them books. But now that you up and you make this statement, you know, what next? So I'm happy to see that he's, you know, telling the truth and speaking the truth, and hopefully people, you know, can stop ridiculing him and just, you know, get a brother's props for, you know, coming to the light at some point.
Yeah, we got to give him that. What else you got, brother?
Absolutely. This is our last one, and this is another big topic that was going on when we was on our hiatus, and this was T.D. Jakes' sermon versus boss women. This was tricky, because T.D. Jakes has been one of those guys who's always been, you know, even killed. You never hear people bash him too much, and this is the first time I really seen people come at that brother when he was basically saying women need to kind of chill out and stop being so much in their alpha male energy and be more feminine as far as trying to be bosses and, you know, and kind of lead. What was your thoughts when people went at T.D. Jakes for his position or his thoughts about this?
You know, what I did was listen to the entire sermon. And once I listened to the entire sermon, I understood what he was saying. You know, I know you remember when Baba Gregory would always speak on people talking about strong women and how, you know, the term is almost an oxymoron, and particularly black women. Right. When you talk about strong women, you know, we need the women to be nurturers, and we need the women to be empathetic and show us how to be more soft in a way and not be so, you know, what they call toxic masculinity today. So I think that's what he was talking about, is women, you know, losing in their nourishing, their motherly aspects. And I think he was totally right. I think a lot of women are focusing totally on their career, and, you know, some of the things are falling by the wayside in some of these kids. Right.
And just to drive his message home even further, and it's funny because he's right. When this topic first came up in the mainstream media, and the first thing we said, let's just watch the whole sermon and see, because we live in a microwave society where a 30-second or 60-second clip gets put out there, but you didn't listen to his whole sermon and realize what he was saying in total context. So when I watched the sermon as well, I was like, you know, he's absolutely correct.
Sure.
Not saying a woman can't be a boss, because I've worked in corporate America. I have women be my boss. You know what I'm saying? But
that's a job.
That's a job,
and that needs to be understood.
Absolutely.
Furthermore,
but I was gonna say this real quick. But to drive your point home, we've gotten away from our sisters being those nurturers, those teachers of the children, the ones that, you know, can bring and galvanize our families and bring us together because they're so busy doing other things and taking away that time away from the family. So I feel like when you listen to his sermon, those are the messages that he was trying to drive home.
Sure. I also want to point out the fact that he is handing his ministry over to his daughter.
Just announced.
In a timely fashion. Because a lot of them boss women went in his throat.
Right.
So I actually think his message may be conveyed better through his daughter.
Absolutely.
And also, I think it's time for him to take off some of them skinny jeans too, man. He needs to let that stomach rest, you know. I thought he was going far, and it's other pastors out there are doing the same thing, you know, choking their waistline out with them skinny jeans, man. You got to stop that, brother. You got to stop that.
Hey, wear your real size, man. That's all I'm saying.
Wear your real size, you know what I'm saying? Man. Yeah.
But we've come pretty much to the end, man, and hopefully you guys like season 2. Like I said, we fine-tuned some things. You're going to see some things different. We still will interview people, but we wanted to just come out and let you hear from us, the crew, first before we start doing that. And it's going to be an exciting season. So anything you got in closing before we go to our weekly message?
Yes. I just recently, and I know you spoke about the Elvis movie, but I want to speak about the Elvis movie mainly because I was one of those people that was, Elvis, I don't want to see that. But I watched the movie. It was an excellent movie. It was long.
Yeah.
But once I got to the end, I felt like it should have been a part 2. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of things that I had no idea, being that I was 5 or 6 when he passed. But what the movie portrayed is that Elvis, found a lot of his skills from going to he really lived in the impoverished area,
right?
Which was the black area.
Yep.
And he was around a lot of black people. Mm-hmm. And he was able to go to church and see the church sermons where they were still practicing a lot of the African spirituality.
Yeah.
And he indoctrinated this into his style as he got older. Like, as we sit there and we frown and turn our head at African spirituality, this, like what you said, the man gained the whole world.
He tapped in and gained the whole world.
My God, my mind was blown away that they had that part in there. Along with him connecting with B.B. King and a lot of the
Muddy Waters.
Yeah, Muddy Waters.
Who's from Rolling Fork, Mississippi, my folks' hometown.
A lot of the blues greats. He, hanging out on Bill Street down there in Memphis. Yep. As we sit here in Bill Street by Shelley,
absolutely,
up here in Kentucky, it was just eye opening to see that stuff and think about all the things that we have forgotten ourselves.
Yep.
Practicing things that we really truly don't have a lot of true history on, brother.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I like the movie as well. And the only thing is, I thought it basically, I would love to see it. It made you feel like it should have been a part 2 because you saw a lot of the movie was based around his manager who was corrupt and who was, taking advantage of him, like a lot of artists get taken advantage of, then and now. So it told us the story from his perspective a lot, but when they talked about Elvis in particular, it talked about growing up in rural Mississippi, right there on the border of Memphis and Mississippi, and how he tapped into the black church and African spirituality, things of that nature, and how we run away from it. I find it odd, the things that we started, the things that was passed down to us hundreds, thousands of years, we kind of run away from, and other people pick it up, and they gain the world by using our practices, our culture, and things that we created and we started. But it was a great movie, and I think Tom Hanks should definitely be up for every award possible because he bodied it, and even the guy that played Elvis, it was a great film.
Yeah, Tom Hanks' character really pissed me off. Yeah. So when somebody pisses you off in a movie,
doing a great job.
That they are doing a great job, and the gentleman that played Elvis, I think, did a real good job. I would say go out and watch that film.
Yeah,
and further go ahead and listen to Who Made Y'all Priest and learn a little bit about the African spirituality, brother. What else you got?
Absolutely. And I'll say this in closing on Elvis. I didn't want to watch the movie because I'm like, man, this is gonna be whitewashed. We know he stole our sound, he stole, our music and our flavor. But when you watch the movie, whoever the directors or the writers were, made sure that they wanted the world to know, and especially Black America to know, hey, we know he still stole from y'all and took from y'all, but if you look at it, it really wasn't stealing. It was basically paying homage. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because he was giving, BB King and them was giving him game, and he was thankful. He was going back playing music for them, getting their approval. So when I looked at it from that standpoint, I was like, okay, this is all right.
So it sounds like the media and the powers that be manipulated Elvis's performance, and he wasn't able to give homage to the people that he was actually learning from and embraced.
Exactly.
He wasn't the one that, the way the movie told it, he wasn't the one that, did not or omit that information.
Absolutely.
It was just, the powers that be.
Powers that be. Power structure.
It was segregation then.
Absolutely.
So they didn't want any type of credit to go to the Black race at that time.
All right, we've come to the end, y'all, and this is now our new segment, again, inspired by our sister, my sister, Candace, and it's called The Weekly Message, and we're going to go with an African proverb, and we can kind of talk about this and close it out.
Okay.
The speaker of truth has no friends. I'm going to run that back again. The speaker of truth has no friends. And when you hear this mantra or this proverb, as it is, Kurt, what does it make you think of?
It makes me think of the fact that a lot of people are out here faking, straight up. A lot of people, you think it makes me immediately think of social media. Yeah. And I made a joke, on my social media when I recorded Sophie running this. It was her first ever race, I cut the end off.
Yeah.
To where, she kind of lost gas. But, the smoke screens that we're getting, and most people just don't keep it real. Most people don't keep it 100. And when you do keep it 100, it tends to piss people off and push people away. So that's what I think of it, being brave enough to tell the truth. And a lot of people don't want to hear the truth.
They don't want to hear it. And I agree with you wholeheartedly, because when you speak the truth and people don't want to hear it, they want to run away from you. But like Creflo, going back to our earlier segment, the truth is going to always be right there. The truth is going to remain the same. It's never going to change. So when you're ready to be a big boy or big girl and embrace that truth, it's still going to be right there. So I always tell people, don't run away from it, run to it. You know what I mean? And this is a great proverb, and I think it's a great way to start off the season and a great way to finish our first episode. So, hey, man, this is all we got for this week, and we'll see y'all next week for episode 2 of season 2 of Church After Hours.
Church After Hours.